Do I get a free ticket because I'm talking to you right now?
You can get 5% off. They try to impress people instead of contribute. It's 100 calls, $100,000, right? And you only answered one. Let's just say if you're making, okay, $100,000 a year, you have to live like you're making $30,000 a year.
When you're 17, most people expect you to figuring life out. But some people don't wait for light. They build it. Today's episode is about ownership, momentum, and what happens when a young entrepreneur refuses to sit still. My guest did not grow his business in a classroom. He learned by actually running one. From launching his first brand at 15 to rebuilding it stronger to stepping into real leadership as a business administrator and CFO to creating systems that help companies scale. He's already operating at a level most people don't reach for years. He is the founder of Phase Up Global, the engine behind revenue system and virtual operators for service business. He built Budli VA provided real operators that live overseas to business owner. And now he's partnered in a major new event called Biz Expo, designed to change how entrepreneurs connect, learn, and grow. But beyond all the titles, he's known for one thing. He understands people. He knows how to network, build relationship, create momentum, and turn connection into opportunities. Today, we're getting into the mindset that the mistakes, the momentum behind a young operator who refuses to wait his turn. I want to introduce you to one of the youngest entrepreneur that I know, Hassan Isaac. How are you, Hassan?
I'm doing well. How are you? That was a great introduction.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us in iStock. Technically, you're actually my first American guest.
Yeah.
And I am so glad to have you as a guest. I'm very curious. I love to think that I'm a business business mentality person.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much I do not have the guts to go and start it, and I really haven't done that in my life much. But you were 17,
Right.
And so what I really want to know, and I think my audience would love to know, that who are you, and what makes you start all of this? So just give a little background of yours, please.
Yeah. So a little bit of background about me is I started in the business world actually way before 15.
Okay.
I started I would say give or take around 7 or 8. But I obviously didn't own a business at 7 or 8. I started my very first business at the age of 13 or 14.
Okay.
Back in really 2022 actually. Before I built the e-com store, I decided with my very first digital marketing agency where I was doing, not we, because it was just by myself, but I was doing graphic design, going around to local businesses, and I didn't really know who to search for.
Okay.
I just, whoever I went to, basically, I did it. I mean, I was like a 13-year-old, 12-year-old guy, kid, that was, kind of walking in. I remember very vividly, there was this Chinese restaurant that I walked into right by my house. I had my business cards and everything. They looked okay.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't the most best business cards, but they were good. Definitely, anyone that had that type of business card, it wouldn't be
So how old are you at that time, you said?
12, 13.
12.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Nobody's judging you.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, so continuing on with the story, I walk into that Chinese restaurant. There's a guy that was working there, I thought he was way older at that time because obviously I was younger, but I think he was probably 16, 17 that was working there. And he was working the register. And I give him my business card. I say that, because they really needed work anyways, no matter what. So I give him the business card, and I remember that guy laughed in my face.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I was actually furious, right?
Okay.
So at the time. And looking back, it definitely made a lot of it caused a lot of the momentum that I have now to actually want to do big things, because, as someone young, I'm going to obviously want to prove someone wrong if they're going to laugh in my face for something that I did. You know, whether that's playing basketball or, you know, playing video games or something like that. If someone's going to trash talk you basically or laugh in your face for what you're doing, you're going to want to actually excel and prove them wrong. Exactly. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, at 13, somebody is actually trying to laugh in your face and you're saying, okay, you know what? I got you, man. I'll prove you wrong. So very early though, like what makes you build that momentum? I mean, I understand that somebody laughed at you and that's where you started, but like, is that the whole reason or there's more to it?
Well, I mean, there's a little bit more to it. So, you know, I was blessed with like the opportunity to grow up in a business environment where my dad had his own retail store, and you know, we still have it to this day. And you know, I would spend a lot of my free time over there. So I would, you know, play video games. Whatever I would do would be over there a lot of the time. And you know, I slowly started picking up in the business space. Now, this wasn't officially like this was kind of like officially my first business.
Okay.
It wasn't like set as my first business or whatever. But I remember on Amazon, one time, you know, my dad was looking at, was on Amazon, stuff like that, looking at tablets and stuff, just like way back in the day. So if you buy something from Amazon, you can sell it for like a double, and then no one will know that it's from Amazon.
Okay.
So, you know, he was looking at Amazon and there was these nice tablets. I remember this moment so vividly. I was like 7 or 8 years old. He was looking at these tablets and I saw how cheap they were. They're like $40, right?
Okay.
So I was like, can I buy these tablets and can I sell it at your store? It was like $40, and I remember we were selling it for like $120.
Oh wow.
So he bought me like 4 tablets. He said, okay, sell it. You keep the money, and then you pay me back basically for whatever he invested, whether that was, I think it was like $200 or something like that, right? So I pay him back his $200, and then on top of that, I have my profit of like $250 or something like that. So I buy more, and then it got to a point where I think that was like my first ever real taste in business. And then I don't know what happened. I think, actually, I remember this very vividly, and I know if my dad is watching, he's gonna ask me why I mentioned this.
Uh-huh.
But he bought 100 tablets from an auction and basically took me out of business.
Oh.
So that's what happened. He basically
Okay, so that basically
took
learned
away
from
my
the
business.
son, and then all right, there you go. What were the biggest lesson from that business that taught you about selling or reselling, the entire thing about the business? So Easy Phone, let's talk about that for a bit.
So one thing that I learned from Easy Phone as a whole would be that selling is about trust. It's not about persuasion. Easy Phone, one thing that it taught me is that no amount of marketing, no amount of sales or anything like that will actually make me successful. You have to actually have trust, and you actually have to have credibility. You have to give the person that certainty to actually want to buy about you. You have to basically make sure that you look as credible as possible. Because if you show up and, you know, you act like you have the best thing, when you sell something to someone, it's more about what's going on in the back end than whatever is going on in the front end. Now, a lot of the times when people want to start a business or something like that, the front end looks more fun. It looks more productive, right? But it's not. What really gets your business actually successful long term is first overbuilding the back end and not focusing and slowing down on the front end, right? So when you do that and when you focus more on the back end first, then the front end, although you might think that you're not being productive and you're not making money, you're actually building yourself more long term. So that's definitely a big lesson that I learned from Easy Phone back in June 2023 and operating that business for over 2 years.
So the question that I have is, you just said that business is not only about like, you know, it's building trust, right?
Right.
So you're 17 right now,
yeah,
right? So how do you manage your money? Because look, I mean, us as an adult, half of the time we struggle.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you manage your money?
Okay. So
because that is a big part of building business.
When it comes to money management, it's all about really long-term investments. So, you know, whether that's stocks, whether that's an investment account, whether that's businesses, you know, for me personally, one habit that I have is I always dump stuff back into business. So, let's just say, you know, I get X amount of money. You know, I will mostly dump it back into my business. I mean, I'm still young. You know, what expenses do I really have, right?
Your parents are basically bearing all of your expenses. They might not.
I don't know. I mean, we don't know. But
that's a question for his dad. You know, just text me or email me, right?
But you know, so when it comes to managing money, I think it's more about living below your means. You know, let's just say if someone's making, even if you have a job, right? If you're making 50,000 a year, 100,000 a year, you have to live, let's just say if you're making, okay, $100,000 a year, you have to live like you're making $30,000 a year.
Okay.
Because first of all, you're making $100,000 a year. 30,000 is like taxes already.
Yeah.
So you're making 70K a year. Then you have rent. Then you have a family. Then you have all this type of stuff. You need to be living like you're making $40,000 a year. Now, some people might, listen to this and they think that they want to hear that and all that type of stuff, but then they're not going to act upon it. So you also have to see discipline. If you're going to buy clothes, you have to buy clothes, one shirt at a time or something. You cannot buy a whole $300 haul of clothes, because if you do that, then automatically, boom, there goes your money.
Okay.
When you're buying food, don't eat out, Now if a restaurant owner is watching this, he might hate me, but don't eat out. Like, just stay inside, cook your food, get groceries and stuff like that. Treat yourself, only treat yourself maybe to eating out maybe once a month or something. Don't eat out too much. Don't, especially if you don't have money and you cannot manage your money, or if you're new to business or anything like that, you need to learn how to control your money.
Yeah. Well, perfect. I mean, I think I needed that more than anybody else. But so you shut down Easy Phone in June 2025. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No.
So basically, you shut down. So what motivated that reset? So how did you fix and basically just, move forward second time around? What was your process?
Okay, so when I shut down Easy Phone back a couple months ago, June 2025, I had bigger ambitions and bigger goals.
Okay.
Now, when I did that, I already saw a decline in the business. I know how to fix it and all that type of stuff. That wasn't the issue. But I just saw a revenue decline. And I think that was a sign for me to think bigger. Because Easy Phone long-term was not a business that I wanted to keep. Because, okay, look, Easy Phone, we were selling one-time products for about $40 or so. And I knew that you're selling something for one time, you don't have recurring customers, it's only $40. What's the maximum I'm gonna make? I have to sell for like 1,000 people to make, $4,000 inside the month, all this type of stuff. And, it's a nice business to have, but it's not nice in the sense of consistent income. When you want to think bigger, let's just say down the line, if I become 40, 50 years old, am I really gonna have to sell wireless earbuds to make my living?
Yeah.
So I want something that's gonna, build generational wealth, whether that's for my children, my great-grandchildren, whatever you want to, however far down the line for descendants, what is it? Or no, not descendants, sorry. However further down the line you want to go for like ascendants or whatever, people like, your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, whatever further down the line it is, is AirPods really what's gonna is wireless earbuds really what's going to sustain those children? No.
Okay.
It has to be, whether that's through real estate, whether that's through events, whether that's through real impact. I mean, also, like, when I'm on my deathbed, I don't want to think about, just the AirPods that I sold. I want to think about an impact that I made on the world. And that was something that a mentor told me back in August in Orlando. And he's very good to me and everything. And he gave me that advice, obviously on the deathbed, you don't want to think about all the Ferraris and all that type of stuff that you have in your life. You want to actually think about what you've built, the connections that you built, the people that you've met, the people that you impacted, whether that's on social media, whether that's through, in-person talking or all that type of stuff. The impact that you made to the world is what you want to think about on your deathbed. And you don't want to regret not doing that and just focus on, Ferraris and mansions and all that type of stuff. You want to build, generational wealth. You want to do all this type of stuff in your life.
He's 17 and he's talking about grandchildren and the money for them. Like, wow, where were we living, man? So when you stepped in CRC, wireless as a business administrator, right?
Right.
And then CFO. What changed your mindset? When did you realize you're operating like a real business leader?
Okay. One thing is that when payroll and risk depends on you, ego disappears.
Okay.
That's one thing that I believe. This role forced me to stop thinking like this role forced me to basically stop thinking like I just do everything for the thrill or the fun. I mean, think about it. You have to focus on vendor relationships. You have to focus on customer satisfaction, business growth, marketing. All this type of stuff is like on the top of your head. And when you do all this type of stuff, you cannot think about, oh, this feels good. Oh, I want to make this change or whatever. Everything within the company. I mean, we don't have any actual like employees within the business. It's my family that runs it. So, it's also kind of like my livelihood also kind of depends on that business a little bit, right? So I think about and I make sure that I know what I'm doing, where I take calculated risks, because if I make a move that isn't calculated or I do it without knowing my numbers and knowing my stuff, then you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
So when a whole business depends on you like that, I mean, I manage the finances and everything in that business. I run the business day to day. I mean, I'm not there day to day, but I mean, I make sure that everything is flowing well, whether that's with vendor relationships, customer satisfaction, Google, because for example, we're the top rated in Google for the whole area. We have to stay the top rated or who knows what's going to happen. So all this stuff has to be sustained. And when you're the one that's doing it, there's no ego that's there. You're not going to come up to the person and be like, I overpower you, right? You're going to sit, listen to ideas. You have to make sure that you know what's going on. You have to stay connected with your customers and all that type of stuff. And I think that is kind of what shifted my mindset when it comes to, being the business administrator and the chief financial officer at CRC Wireless.
Wow. Well, again, I'm just impressed. 17 years old. And he's talking like every 50, 60 years old CEO or CFO. I mean, amazing, man. So you talk a lot about system, right?
Right.
And then, so for a young entrepreneur, what does a broken backend means? And what does that look like? And how does that kill revenue?
Yeah. So essentially a broken backend is quiet, but it's lethal and it's deadly. Let's just say you get 100 calls that come in to your company. And let's just say all of them want to buy. Let's just say your ticket service is $1,000. It's 100 calls, $100,000, right? And you only answered one. Instead of making $100,000 in that day, you only made 1,000.
Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah, exactly. So what essentially that I do, I phase up global, is we make sure that your revenue is actually coming through. People always talk about generate leads. I'll make, low cost per ad or whatever, and you'll generate all these leads and stuff. But nobody talks about when these leads actually come in. Who takes care of these leads? Who nurtures them? Because leads need nurturing. They're like a baby, right? They need to be taken care of properly. If they're not taken care of properly, they'll go take the business elsewhere. I mean, I was doing a study and I realized that there's over 15,000 realtors in Atlanta. More, like probably even more than that, but with my research, that's what I calculated. There's 15,000 realtors in Atlanta. Now,
the number might be more than that, but
more than that, exactly. That's just whatever I calculated. Mm-hmm. So, who knows? My calculation probably could be wrong and there's more than that. But 15,000 realtors in Atlanta. There is over 15 million people, I believe now, that live in the state of Georgia. There's probably about 500, 600,000 live in the city of Atlanta. There's over 3-4 million people that just live in the metro Atlanta area, right? And that's just our surrounding areas. If you go a little bit further down, you go to, Gainesville, all that type of stuff. There's so many people living there, right? So all these realtors live in Atlanta. They don't know what they're doing. I'm going to be bold about that. A lot of them don't know what they're doing. But the thing is, there's no problem in not knowing what you're doing. What you need is mentorship. You need someone who can actually guide you through to see, the revenue leaks, right? And I'm not saying that in like a bold way or anything like that. The way that I'm saying is kind of like, I might sound like I'm trying to like do it in like a bold way, but that's kind of like a little bit of how I talk. And like realistically speaking, right? Let's just say you own a business. Any business should be doing this. You should do a SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. You need to do this. Now, you alone cannot do it. Ideally, I believe that, you can do a SWOT analysis alone, but bring someone from the outside. You can literally, look, you see these people walking outside right now? I can call one of them in right now and I can tell them, help me do a SWOT analysis. Because anybody can do a SWOT analysis to help you identify the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats of your business. So what I do is I offer a free 10-minute audit, right? Now I'm going to do a SWOT analysis with you, but it's not really ideally for the SWOT analysis. It's more of how you can fix your lead follow-ups. People will go to events and whatever. We're going to get to that later probably, but people will go into these events and all that type of stuff, and they'll, have these beautiful booths and everything, but what comes after? Nothing.
Well,
yeah.
So broken backend. So I think it wasn't clear, the broken backend.
Oh, yes.
Because that's what you're talking about, right?
Okay, so going back to the $100,000 thing, right? So leads will come in and no one nurtures them and everything like that. The team is basically going to work hard and everything, but revenue will slowly be leaking out. It'll slowly be leaving. And that is more of, a broken backend. So you don't actually see the work that's going on. Like, for example, you own a restaurant, right? And you don't see traffic. There's a reason for that. You think that, business is just slow today, all that type of stuff. Believe me, business is not slow, right? It's really the business owner that's not taking the right initiatives to want to grow. That's the sad truth, right? Nobody likes to hear someone saying that they're the problem. But if you don't see the fault within yourself, then how are you really going to grow?
I'm very sure that you have spent a lot of time researching people, studying people.
Yeah.
Right. There's a very good reason why you came up with Phase Up Global, right? So what that is, what patterns did you actually saw that inspired you to come up with Phase Up Global? And what is Phase Up Global?
Yeah. So first of all, it happens to me more than anything. Let's just say, okay, I want to take a look at, okay, sorry. So it happens to me more than often, right? Let's just say, I'll use this as an example. It's not a literal example, but let's just say I want to go see a house, right? If I want to go buy a house or whatever, right? I'll go reach out to a realtor and I swear I won't get a response for like a week, 2 weeks or whatever. And I'm interested in the moment. I'm the type of guy where if you get my interest, I want it at the moment, right? But nobody will follow up with me. And I'm like, what's going on here? I'm way too confused and everything like that. So I'm the type of person that if you don't respond to me now, I'll go with another option. I don't care.
No, I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the restaurant business, which you're talking about restaurant business, which is ironic. I'm in the restaurant business, and the place that I'm working right now in December month, there's a lot of phone call comes in, text messages about larger parties and stuff. And if you do not follow through right away, they are gonna go to the next option right away.
You're not needed
because there is so many restaurants.
Exactly.
There is so many competition.
Exactly.
So if you're right about the fact that if somebody's calling you, you gotta follow through and you gotta actually capture that moment and get that business to yourself right away. And if not, then you're gonna struggle.
Oh.
And so what actually make you start Phase Up Global?
Yeah. So
what is the job? I mean, what is actually the Phase Up Global?
So Phase Up Global, I hope it doesn't sound too complex for a lot of listeners, but Phase Up Global is a growth infrastructure that helps you recognize your revenue leaks, and we actually implement the systems that helps you actually get that helps you actually fix the leaks that are in the pipeline. Think of it like plumbing, right? Let's just say water is running here or whatever, and that pipe is leaking. That pipe that's leaking, that water, all of it's not coming through because it's leaking, is your leads. Each drop that leaks is your leads. That is a simpler way of putting it for you guys. We basically fix the follow-up systems. We also do some marketing work for you. We do everything that your business needs so that the business owner's shoulders actually feel a lot of relief. So, we help a lot of any type of business really, but specifically real estate, law, professional services like accountants, insurance, all that type of stuff. Service-based businesses, any business that really needs it, come to us. And we have clients in all type of industries, but our branding is around more of like law, real estate, and professional services and things of that sort.
So I think that clears up a lot. But Phase Up Global, that also has that Boothly VA, right?
Right.
So let's talk about that. What is Boothly VA? What is their job? And what does that helps your clients and customers?
Okay. So what Boothly VA is essentially It's what Booty VA essentially is a operating system where we basically grant you assistance from across the world, whether it's the Philippines, Indonesia, Nigeria, India, Pakistan, all these type of countries, Bangladesh. We give you these VAs, and what they essentially do is they're basically the A players in your business. They're the operators, right? So that you can stop working inside of your business and you can start working on your business, because those are two different things. I just made a video about it. I didn't post it yet, but literally like earlier today I was recording and I was talking about, working in your business and working on your business is two different things. For example, I keep talking about restaurant, but let's just say as a restaurant owner, right? Your job is to cook, to take the orders, to go serve, to go market, to do everything. What will you do to actually grow? Your restaurant will not grow.
Yeah, because you're doing everything.
Exactly. You need someone who can take the phone, which we actually offer AI 24/7 call agents that can do that for you. But you need someone who can take the phone. You need someone who can be the registrar. You need someone who can do the marketing. Essentially, we help you take care of all of that. We place all these type of people into your business. We also work with, different companies and stuff like that to help you actually get employees, like in-person employees or whatever. But we also offer you, assistants that will literally take care of a lot of the stuff within your business. So, yeah.
So basically, you're helping through Bootly VA scaling the business.
Exactly. Yeah. So Phase Up Global and Bootly VA hand in hand.
So like you have Phase Up Global, you have Bootly VA, now Biz Expo.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, you're 17. You're in school. How are you doing all of this? I mean, my mind's just falling.
It's because I use Bootly VA.
Okay, all right. Also, look at this. He's a very smart, what is it called? Like entrepreneur. Now talk about Biz Expo. This is a huge move for someone at 17.
Yeah.
So how did this partnership go? So you're a partner in there, right?
Yeah, I'm just.
So how does that partnership form? And when you did form a partnership, what kind of problem did you have to face? And then how do you fix all the problems?
Yeah. So Biz Expo, I actually met. For Biz Expo,
let me stop you. So what is Biz Expo? Let's clear that out for real quick.
So Biz Expo is gonna be an event. That's gonna happen in Atlanta, Denver, and San Diego, if I'm not wrong. So it's gonna be 3 events, and we're looking to scale it further and further. But right now we have 3 set events, right?
Okay.
Denver, Atlanta, San Diego. First, we're starting in Atlanta, March 23rd, 2025, at the
2026.
Huh?
2026.
Thank you.
It's all right. 2025 is past, yeah. Unless you have a time machine that we're going back.
No. So, Biz Expo is going to be an event that's going to happen in the Cobb Galleria on March 23rd, 2026. And it's going to be a whole 1-day event, right?
Okay.
So essentially what the Biz Expo is going to do is it's going to connect all the small businesses, all types of businesses, really medium, large, any type of businesses, all in one room together. And one thing that we're doing really differently, really specially, is we're gonna have a youth entrepreneur corner, directed by me, and I'm gonna bring on entrepreneurs from 25 and younger. Really, it's like 13 to 25, but even if you're like 7 years old, just come. Yeah, it's very open to you. And this is way different than a lot of other events because, for example, tickets are just $20 for you to come, and you can experience the whole experience, right? So. And VIPs are only like $99. So there's really a lot of room for you to come in.
Do I get a free ticket because I'm talking to you right now?
You can get 5% off if you use my code. But
5% off?
Yeah.
Okay.
But so there's so much that went into the idea of Biz Expo that we really want to make it different. Why it's important is because events, a lot of people don't know, but events should be creating pipelines, not just foot traffic. People talk about, okay, I was just at an event. I don't want to name them because I respect the event so much. It was such a great event, but I was at this event in August. I went to this event in August. It was a really nice event. It's a big event. 30,000, 40,000 people came. If you think about it, it was in Atlanta. Some people might be able to think about the name. If you don't, then you don't. But you know, it was a really, really great event. I loved it personally, right? So many people in that room. But all it was about was more foot traffic than anything. I mean, meeting these people and all this type of stuff, I don't even know who I'm meeting anymore, right? So we're trying to really put everything together properly where businesses can actually get benefit from there and create these pipelines and follow-ups and, you know, all this type of stuff and put it together properly. So then that way business owners can actually see success and actually come with the Business Expo for our next events. So it's more of a long-term type thing than anything short-term.
How did you get involved in it?
So how did I get involved in the Biz Expo? I would say a lot of it goes to my two wonderful mentors, Nicole and Jeremy. We met back in July at Mobile Disrupt, which is organized by another mentor of mine that's also a co-owner in the Biz Expo. His name is Bob Lafon. So we basically came together not too long ago. So we met first back in July in Miami. And then we, you know, talked and all that type of stuff. I did some business with Nicole and Jeremy with one of their businesses. And, you know, we maintained a really strong connection. I met Bob again in August in Las Vegas. And, you know, and I met with some other people. I kept pitching some type of event and stuff that I wanted to do, you know. And they were actually like, hey, come on board to the Biz Expo. And I was like, okay, this is a great experience for me, you know. So basically, that's how the partnership formed. We officially signed and made the agreement and everything like that in November last month. And yeah, now I'm a partner within the Business Expo.
So we're almost at the end of this beautiful podcast. I mean, there's so much to learn from you. Ask a couple of more questions that actually, you know, that can sum up this whole thing. So, you know, networking, that's what you've been doing since 15, right?
Right.
So what is one mistake that a young entrepreneur can do when it comes to networking, and how can you avoid it?
They try to impress people instead of contribute.
Networking it's all about impressing, no?
So it is. Now, yeah, obviously you want to wear nice clothes, you want to impress the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the real way to impress someone is not by appearance.
Okay.
Right? Let's just say, okay, weird analogy, but let's just say you want to marry someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously the first thing is that you're going to look at his looks and type of stuff. But what can she provide, right? Can she be the mother of your children? All this type of stuff will occur in your head, right? All these all this type of stuff will be the factor if she's worthy of being the mother of your children, or if she's not, you know. And when someone's thinking, then they're gonna think about all the type of stuff, you know. Can she do that? Can she do this? Can she do that? You know, people will think to themselves, you know, if she's really worthy of being your future, right? So when it comes to that, that's another core thing of networking, right? So when you network, it's not about how you look. Although it plays a big factor, obviously you have to look presentable, but what can you provide? You need to stop asking favors, you know. I meet you, hey, I do real estate. Okay, nice. Can you connect me to XYZ? You know, all this type of stuff. No, don't do that. You need to say, oh, you're in real estate? Okay. You know, I was talking to someone, and for example, you know, let's just say they want to do some type of work, right? I tell them, okay, I have connection to a mentor, I have connection to this type of person that can actually bring you value. Because networking, if I talk about myself and if I ask you for favors, then the person's not going to want to talk to you, right? If I come up to you right now and, you know, we just met, you tell me, okay, I have this podcast and everything like that. And then I say, okay, you know, do me this favor, do me that favor and all that type of stuff. You know, thank you so much for inviting me on the podcast. But if I ask you all these requests, right? You know, let's just say a person might not want to share information related to the podcast, share the media, right? You know, obviously you're a great guy, so, you know, you're willingly sharing it. But let's just say you don't want to share the media, right? If I just say, instead of saying, you know, I can provide you this amount of value if you share the media and stuff like that, I just say, give me the media. Would you want to give it to me?
No.
Exactly. So it goes just like that. You have to actually provide the person the right amount of value to make them want to actually work with you. Then through that, then you can ask your favors and stuff. But you have to first give the person a reason to even talk about favors.
So basically, it's like you have to make sure that the other person understands if there's any benefit.
Yeah, exactly. So that's in my networking. That's how I operate, and that's what works the most. You have to first provide value before you can get value.
Okay. Wow, that's a good insight. So we're almost at the end of it. So last question for you. Actually, not last, second last question. So you're 17, you're running multiple venture, right? What keep that mindset keep going, all right? But, one of the things that I think you need to, like, anybody needs to understand that how you stay grounded. So how do you stay grounded, but still keep pushing yourself aggressively to get to the next level? You're talking about grandchildren at this point. So I'm curious, how do you keep yourself grounded, but then keep pushing yourself?
Yeah. How do I keep myself grounded at 17? So I would definitely say responsibility keeps you grounded, but process keeps you sane.
Okay.
If you don't have a process, then you become insane. I focus a lot on systems and not praise, right? So to be really honest, right, if someone praises me or whatever, I still stay grounded because, if someone praises someone, I believe that too much praise to a person kind of messes with the person a little bit. If I come up to you, obviously, you have a nice suit on or whatever, I compliment you. That's good. If I compliment you, right? Compliments are good, right? But praise to an extent, sometimes it kind of messes with the person a little bit. So, obviously me being my age or whatever, I get a lot of praise, right? And that's just the truth. But what I do is I still have my systems and my processes to actually keep me grounded within. I focus more on outcomes and not the attention that I get. Because aggression without discipline leads to burnout, right? If I say I'm going to lock in, I focus 12 hours a day, 13 hours a day. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm focusing on this. I'm like, let's just say, okay, this is a perfect example, right? 12 hours a day. I'm on this leaf for 1 minute, this leaf on 1 minute, for this leaf on 1 minute. Like, I'm just all over the tree. But let's just say for 12 hours, I'm focused on this leaf. For 5 hours, I'm focused on this leaf. I actually stay grounded with my systems. Instead of saying, okay, I'm getting all this attention, so I got to be on all leaves. I got to cover the whole tree. A whole tree doesn't come out in a day. A whole tree takes a year, months, how long it takes to grow a tree. That's how long then, process and staying grounded actually, works on.
Okay. So last question, and it is my personal question, but it's also for me to know, for the viewers to understand. What do you want right now at the age of 17?
Well, okay. So one thing that I got to say is, I believe more about number. One thing that I have to say is that I believe more in the process than the numbers.
Okay.
The reason for that is because, someone's worth is more about what they actually have going on, right? Okay, let's take a look right now. Biz Expo, very big event company, right? Let's take a look at Phase of Global, all that type of stuff. Some of these companies might be new, some of these companies might be old or whatever, but you can say that, looking at what I have going on and the teams that I have going on, it's in a good range, especially projected in the next 10 years or whatever. Focus, like, a lot of people have this wrong mentality. They're, sometimes, respectfully, people sometimes are interested more about numbers than what's going on, and that's an issue for some people. But let's just say if I was like 35, 40, 45, 50, whatever, right? Talking about numbers is not a problem. But for me, personally, I think that there's bigger things to focus on more than how much someone's making. Because if I talk about numbers or whatever, then that's all I become. I become the guy that's making 10 figures, whatever, right? Obviously, I'm not making 10 figures, but, So
we have a number.
No. Nah.
But I respect that. I do. For your age and not focusing on money, but more so about the work and trying to get to that, it is very highly respectable. And I really, really do respect you for that. Now, I thank you very, very much for joining us, giving us so much insight about you, Phase of Global, Biz Expo. If you are listening to this podcast, I would love you to join Biz Expo March 23rd.
In Atlanta.
That is Cobb Gallery.
And you can use code Hassan, all capital. Hassan, Hassan, the number 5, then exclamation point, and you can get a good discount on your ticket. Make sure you use that.
If there's one thing today's conversation proved, it's this: momentum is built, not given. You don't need to wait for permission, a degree, or the right time. You need clarity, system, and the courage to make your own opportunities. My guest today is proof that age does not limit impact. Mindset does. Whether you're just starting out or already running a business, remember this. Strong systems create real freedom, real revenue, and real growth. Find a way. Don't wait. Build momentum and make every connection count. Thanks for listening. If today's episode brought you value, share it with someone who needs that push. This is iStalk, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you very much for joining us.